doesn't matter who you are or when you were, when you made this discovery. You're living in a land where the temperature is beautiful. You've got plenty of food. The weather is stable. You're not having volcanoes and earthquakes. There's no animals that's your natural enemy that's attacking you and killing us every day. And this goes on for a long period of time. This is the situation that our ancestors found themselves in. What they did, they figured it out, is that whoever, whatever power that created all that they could see, that power is far beyond their understanding. But the one thing they do know is that that power loves them. That power cared enough about them to put them in that situation of comfort. We have a great scholar from the 20th century. His name was Cheikh Anta Diop, or Cheikh Anta Diop. His last name is pronounced different ways, but this man is brilliant. He calls the situation that our ancestors were born into the warm cradle, because it was about love. Our ancestors figured out that whoever was the power in this universe that created this universe put us in this situation. They looked around and analyzed what that situation was. Everything was in balance. And as they saw the creation of the universe, they decided that it was wise for them to treat each other the same way, and to treat the environment that they had been given the same way, with love. And that's where those principles come from. In their interactions with each other and their interactions with the environment, they made sure that they interacted with justice, righteousness, truthfulness, harmony, balance, reciprocity, and order. I usually forget one. I may have double one, but the point is that they did not view this as a religion, something that they did on Sunday and talked about on Sunday, and then went for themselves the rest of the time. It was a way of life. From the Pharaoh at the top of the society to the poorest person in the society. They lived it. And it's hard for us to imagine that, because we've been captured by people who have come from what is called the cold cradle. That cold cradle can be interpreted a lot of ways, but one of the ways that Diop interpreted was that if you can imagine life in a cave where there was no light, there was very little food, and when times got tough and there wasn't no food, they decided through deception who was the weakest person, and they killed that person and they ate that person. I can go into that, but again, each one of these little statements is a discussion that we need to have that will probably take an hour or two to really get inside of it. So we're not doing that, we're just going over this so that we can understand it. We come from a place of love and war, and we've been captured by people who come from a place of cruelty and barbarianism. In a way of demonstrating to you what Maya is, I wanted to bring to your attention. It's a little book, a little pamphlet. It's called The Teachings of Ptahhotep. Ptahhotep was the vizier, which means he was the boss. It was the city, he would be the mayor. It was the state, he'd be the governor. And he was the head minister over the spiritual complex in the capital of Kemet. And he was extremely hairy, brother was just awesome. He wrote a lot of books, a lot of it was destroyed, but this one was discovered in 1800. Thousands of years after they had burned the library in Alexandria, the one in Carthage, the one in Ethiopia. They burned our information and they captured it, and here's the rest of it. This book is a total book, and it was found, it took them 47 years to decipher it. Then our scholars got, that was in 1847, our scholars got a hold of it in the early 1980s. Dr. Asa Hilliard, Dr. Larry Williams, and Sister Damali, they reinterpreted this book. And this book gives voice to what Ma'at is, what it sounds like. And I'd like to just read 3 passages from it to you, because what he was doing was it's an exercise that he would give to the young men who are going out into the world, giving them advice on how to carry themselves. Because in their society, everything was based on honor. If you didn't have respect for your reputation, you were nothing. And it was very important. So if you allow me, I would like to start with number 17. Now just think about this. When we think about people that's even 100 years old, 200 years ago, we tend to think of them as being, well, they're ancient. They're not quite like us, not quite the same. But listen to these ideas that our ancestors had. This was 7,500 years ago. If you are a person who judges, listen carefully to the speech of one who pleads to you. Do not stop the person from telling you everything that they have planned to tell you. A person in distress wants to pour out his or her heart, even more than they want their case to be won. If you are one who stops a person who is pleading, that person will say, why does he reject my plea? Of course, not all that one pleads for can be granted, but a good hearing soothes the heart. The means for getting a true and clear explanation is to listen with kindness. 7,500 years ago. If you want friendship to endure in the house that you enter, the house of a master, or of a brother, or of a friend, then in whatever place you enter, beware of approaching the woman or the women who live in that house. Unhappy is the place where this is done. Unwelcome is he who intrudes on them. 1,000 men are turned away from their good because of a short moment that is like a dream. And then that moment is followed by death that comes from having known that dream. Anyone who encourages you to take advantage of the situation gives you poor advice. When you go to do it, your heart says no. If you are one who fails through the lust of women, then no affair of yours can prosper. I got one more I want to give. When you prosper and establish your home, love your wife with honor, then fill her belly and clothe her back. Caress her, give her ointments to soothe her body. Fulfill her wishes for as long as you live. She is a fertile field for her husband. Do not be brutal. Good manners will influence her better than force. Do not contend with her in the courts. keep her from the need to resort to outside powers. Her eye, it is what is in her eye that tells the storm that is in her heart. It is by such treatment that she will be compelled to stay in your house. Now,
Sure.
this is some deep information that is just as important today as it was then. The point that I want to make by this, they're giving this information to the young men. These young men are going out into society, and society will accept nothing less. They're human beings, just like us. They make mistakes. But this is what the men had to be like. This is what the sisters had to look forward to. And a man who had morals, he had dignity, he had character. So now, if a sister sees this, what does she need? What does she know that she needs to do regarding her character and her behavior toward that man? She needs to raise herself to that level and maintain it. And what you've got then is a rock-solid family, a rock-solid relationship. I say this because of all the things that we talk about regarding Black history, the biggest problem we've got is that relationship between the Black man and the Black woman. It's been destroyed during our enslavement, and we have a lot of work to do. And if our people knew this 7,500 years ago, I think it's time for us to take this serious, so that everything we learn and everything that we do, we're taking it back to how we can use it to improve the relationship that establishes a family that is the bedrock of our people. Thank you.
Ashe.
Oh,
Twins.
yes. Got carried away. I want to introduce two young men that I've just been meeting them for the last couple of months at these meetings. I'm gonna tell you, if they were my own sons, I couldn't be more proud. These are two twin young warriors, young scholars, and we're very proud of them. Brothers Kufu and brother Ugu. Great, strong African names. They are going to speak with you. They are perfect examples of what, think if all our children were like this, we would be on our way. And I'd just like to introduce them to you, these young brothers from Haiti. Okay. Well, you see how things can happen when we don't communicate properly. So, all on me. They want to speak with you about nutrition and wellness. There we go.
And they are from Haiti. Okay, what you say?
I do African family up here.
Yes. Trying to.
How y'all doing, African family? Everybody looking beautiful in it. So, going to something down on call about health and wellness. So y'all just bear with them. And all right, here's the. Hello, all right. So, Dr. Marta Ashley State. Dr. Marta Ashley states, people know more about the anatomy of and how to maintain their cars or other vehicles in their home than their body, the vehicle or temple for their soul. According to African perspective, which is universal and based off the Commission goddess Ma'at, who is the goddess of truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, justice, all in one, there's only one true cause of disease, ignorance of thyself. We have been learning about health, our roots in spirituality for 3 years now, and we plan on pursuing in this field. we will be expanding the ignorance of thyself into three categories: the spiritual being, the mental being, and the physical being. Now, for your spiritual being, what are you listening to? Philo Cooley stated, music is a spiritual thing. You don't play with music. If you play with music, you die young. You see, because when the higher forces give you the gift of music, musicianship, it must be well used for the gift of humanity. Now, we all have songs, different songs we listen to depending on our mood. If you're in a more upbeat mood, you tend to listen to up-tempo songs. But when you're in the feeling, you tend to listen to songs that resonate, right? Now, what people fail to realize is we've been told either directly or indirectly that things like music is just for listening to, nothing more or nothing less, while studies show otherwise. In the medical news today, Barbara L. Senior Advisor of Policy and Research at the American Music Therapy Association states, the elements of music, rhythm, melody, etc., are echoed in our physiology, functioning, and being. So if your spirit, according to African spirituality, is nothing but love, bliss, joy, and positivity, listen to music that is harsh or doesn't have a positive message behind it, give you the spirit, which is the real you and dis-ease. What are you watching? The same rules that go for listening applies to what you're watching. According to the Spiritual Research Foundation, Ms. Priyanka, a seeker with advanced sixth sense, stated, we found that watching spiritual and knowledgeable content is beneficial to us, whereas watching ignorant content such as horror films, reality shows, pornography, etc. are harmful. So as that saying goes, the odds are the windows to your soul, but why not we take precaution to what our windows are being? Exercise. Most people tend to go to the gym and exercise the physical, but always depending on the true essence, the spirit. Some ways you can exercise your spirit are Smatawi, which is Kemetic yoga, and is also the oldest form of yoga. Smatawi stands for the union of two lands, which is symbolic for the higher and lower consciousness coming together to balance and keep the mind, body, and soul as one. There are also other forms of yoga that is beneficial. Meditation is another key component to exercising the spirit. Not only does it take care of the spirit, but there's an abundance of benefits. For instance, it reduces blood pressure, reduces anxiety, keep you focused, and many more. There are also multiple forms of meditation. Breathing, which is the essence of the spirit. Master Hung Yi Shang stated, you can live 2 months without food, 2 weeks without water, but you can only go a few minutes without air. Most people take breathing as, well, that's just how I live, and don't give no other thoughts to it. While that statement is quite true, there's more to breathing than you think. The average person tends to be a shallow breather, which is just breathing from the chest. While taught in ancient times, we were taught to be deep breather, which is breathing from your stomach and your diaphragm. There are different breathing techniques to practice as well. And your spiritual affirmations and good deeds are also great for the spirit. Are you speaking life into the universe or death? Are you giving back from your heart or are you breathing? For the mental being, the laws of conservation states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but they can only be transformed and transferred from one form to another. And that is what thoughts and emotions are. If you simply view the word emotion, it is nothing but energy and motion. Dr. Jennifer Weinberg, a preventative and lifestyle medicine physician, author, and many more stated on the Chakra Center, due to this mind-body connection, the way you think and feel in the deep-seated belief patterns you hold can all contribute to the development of this ease. If you do not explore and deal with painful emotion, they can create an underlying sense of anxiety, depression, or anger that can physically disrupt the body's natural ability to heal itself. So you want to be conscious for the type of thoughts you are thinking and put it into the universe. And if you are feeling or thinking about negativity, talk about it with somebody or write it down in a daily journal. Exercises for the mental coincide with spiritual exercise because they are holistic, which work out the mind, the body, and soul. A couple of exercises you can do is reading, but depending on what's being read, it's a great workout for the mind because it should be information that is beneficial. Another one is learning the language will also be a great exercise for the mental because you are there expending your thoughts and language to see and think from a different perspective. For the physical being, the gut, which is also considered to be the second brain, but that's a topic for another day. The gut is one of the key components in the body where the majority of health issues originate from. The gut is where food is broken down at, nourishments are absorbed, and waste is eliminated. But if that waste doesn't exit, it will sit and putrefy. Then how are the nutrients going to be absorbed if your gut is backed up? So that leads to my next question. What are you digesting? In order to know what food we are digesting, let's define these terms. Google define digest as the breakdown of the food in the alimentary canal into substances that can be absorbed and used by the body. Well, then what is food? Food is any nutritious substance that people eat or drink in order to maintain life or growth. So are you really eating healthy, or are you partaking into a delicious suicide? One thing that most people are unaware of is trifology. Trifology is the combination of food. And yes, there's an order in which food is supposed to be eaten. The types of food that aren't supposed to be combined are the proteins and starch, protein and protein, unless it's plant protein, starch and acid, protein and fat, protein and sugar, starch and sugar, and dairy, which really shouldn't be consumed at all. But if you ingest dairy, it's supposed to be ingested by itself. But the standard American diet teaches you to break all those rules. For the physical health, gluttony. People tend to eat to get full, eat just because that's what they're used to, but just eat fast, which aren't the best options. Eating is a science, but when practice an art. Once the food enters your mouth, take your time, chew and enjoy your food. Then once you swallow, give it a little time to let the brain catch up. Afterwards, repeat the process until you're halfway full, so that the food doesn't overflow and all of it can be digested. You know, I'm guilty of eating because sometimes the food's so good, I just gotta eat it all. Another jewel about the physical being that people are unaware of the circadian rhythm, which is the body's biological clock. Yes, there is an actual 24-hour clock your body has, which is formula when the body digestion is strongest, when you should stop eating, when you should rise up, or when you should go to sleep, and so forth. The type of exercises for the physical being varies from calisthenics, which is working out your own body weight, swimming, running, weightlifting, yoga, bicycling, and I conclude on physical health.
Wonderful presentation. Wonderful, excellent. I mean, as Brother Cliff said, you know, I always talk about my twins. I brag about them everywhere I go. You know, you say his twins too, right? But no, really, because of the education that they have been instilled upon them. You know, sometimes I even ask them to break down, you know, 1804. You know, and when they break down 1804, it's amazing. You know, we are a little bit early, so with that being said, I'm going to kind of shift a little bit. I'm going to ask Sister Maya to introduce our speaker. And just before I do that, I just want a short thing on 1804 from there real quick so you can see what I'm saying when I say I brag about them and the reason I brag about them.
Well, so any of y'all know what happened in 1804. 1804 is when Africans got their independence. That's when Haiti, Africans were the first black independent empire. Some people like to say, well, like even a lot of Haitians out there, they tend to say the first black independent republic, but it's an empire because when Jean-Jacques Dessalines was crowned emperor of the whole Western Hemisphere. He wasn't crowned president, king, or anything. The actual term of Haiti is Empire of Haiti. You see, but 1804 was debunked a lot. The reason why a lot of people would not be taught about 1804 is because it debunked white supremacy. Yeah. So, you know, he had a little background, like he said, on 1804. So yeah, 1804, January 1st, 1804 was the Empire of Haiti gained its independence from the French colonialism. All right. And so during that time, prior to winning their independence, there was battles going on. And one of the great battles that they speak about is called the Battle of Vertières, which was not to mention, French had 84 modern warships and modern weaponry. All IT had was just machetes and voodoo. And we won. That's a little thing that just goes to show you how powerful you are with your ancestors on the side of you. Yes. And I feel it should be studied because, well, there's also great African nations that fought back, but this is an African nation that's in our backyard, Haiti, right here by coastal Florida. One of the reasons why it should be studied, because it shows you about what happened when blacks come together and unite. It shows you what you must do. It shows you must give up the colonials, their religion, and you must go back to your ancestors. It shows you that prior to taking care of the Tuba, the European, we must take care of the black collaborators, the ones that want to be there. It shows you through our ancestors, everything is powerful. The resources we did and everything we did to fight for. And it shows you that with just the ideology we all tend to just see. When we look at that, we get inspiration. We get inspired by our own people. And you know, it shows you a sense of pride, that you know where you come from, hold your head high. So 1804 wasn't just for Haiti, it was for Africans all over. Because the land stated in the 1805 Constitution, any African that comes to this land is free. Yes. If you don't know, if you're an African, you're free. And a lot of people don't know that. It was a great migration for Africans. A lot of people don't even know Harriet Tubman was a gateway to go to Haiti. So in the 1850s, so it was a great migration. So around over 500,000 African Americans fled to Haiti. So matter of fact, Northern Haiti and Southern Haiti speak a different kind of Creole because of that African American got influence into it. And a lot of people don't know that. When a lot of Haitians have migrated to Harlem, that's when the Harlem Renaissance had popped off. That's when Langston Hughes, that's when we embraced our Haitian culture. That's when Langston Hughes wrote a lot of plays about the Haitian Revolution. Zora Neale Hurston, Tell It to My Heart. Haiti was actually a place where she used to go. And I was like, okay, my mind is you from America over one, I need to go to Haiti. And she was deep in the Richmond movement. She wrote in the book, Tell It to My Heart. And she actually wrote the book, Their Eyes Are Watching God. She wrote that in Haiti. There's a lot of things that's just a little bit. So this was the prayer that Dada Boukman, which was actually from Jamaica. He was talking about the Homie warrior tribes. And he was brought up to Haiti. He's a Mambo. So 43% of Africans who were coming over were Muslim. It was our queen that told us, you gotta ditch that religion. You gotta go back to yourself. You gotta go back to your spirituality. So he became a Mambo. It was him and Mambo Cecile Fatima. And this is one of the prayers he said. The God who created the earth, who created the sun that gives us light, the God who rolls up the ocean, who makes the thunder roar, our God who has ears to hear, you who are hidden in the cloud, who watches from where you are. You see all that the white man has made us suffer. The white man, God, asks us to commit crime, but the God within us wants us to do good. Our God, who is so good, so just, he ordered us to revenge our wrong. It is he who will direct our arms and bring us to the victory. It is he who will assist us. We all should throw away the image of the white man, God, who is so pitiless. Listen to the voice for liberty that speaks in all our heart.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
With that being said, I must first also say thank you to your sister who introduced me to it.
Yes.
Woo! Thought I could do it without the tears, but it won't happen. That kind of power on the inside resonates you.
Yes, sir.
It brings you to a level of understanding that we're not only powerful, we got so much power on the inside of us. And when we collectively come together, we can shift this building to that side of the ground.
Absolutely.
This whole building. So we have to realize that that's the power that we have within us. And these young princesses and goddesses and queens and kings and princes, and I mean, these young men, these young male and females that are here, they are powerful. And we have to continue to train them up. I have to use the word, train them up in the way they should go. The right way.
Yeah.
Without the lies and deception. With that being said, Sister Bayat, let's bring it up.
Grand Rising. You all know me as Sister Mayat. However, my name is Spice Clean. And I am from the newly formed Cain Pakal Nation. Cain Pakal Luma Nation. And what that is, that means light, protection, earth. And we are the protectors of the earth. My name is, it represents light, wisdom. I'm sorry, I'm real nervous right now, but wisdom and woman of light. Then we are from the Iroquois Nation. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Whew. I can't deal with the mic. Okay. But anyway, so me and
Let's take your time. Say
I'm nervous, man. You let me speak to people.
Say it in your own way. Say it in your own way.
This is talking to your family.
This is Easter Mom. She can tell you the meaning of her name. We are part of a nation that's newly forming and a new government. What we really need for our people, we need is a government. Okay, and she's going to explain everything what that entails and how we can do that, because we have to be separate and distinct from them. Okay, so without any further ado,
I'm short. I'm short at my promise, I can believe that. Yeah, that's good, thank you. So, Grand Rising. I'm gonna speak with you all today, about some things that are probably gonna shake you a little bit. Right, but sometimes we have to do that. Yeah. Because if you don't get a shaking, guess what happens? You get comfortable, right? And you don't get awakened. I like that. Okay, so I am Ishtilam Yahala, and that means the interpreter of the awakening, right? We are with the Iroquois Confederacy. Our nation state is called, as Mayus has said, Cain Pakal Luma Nation. All right, and so what has happened is that we have come to an inner and understanding of the truth about who the Aboriginal American peoples are. And so with that, we're going to share a little bit of information with you all. I would ask, would you please have an open mind? Because this is very, very important information, and at the same token, it requires action. Because once you know the truth, but you got to take action. All right, so if you look at the slide up there, it says, who are the American Aborigines, and then who is Indian not taxed? And that's very important, and we'll tell you why. But before we get to that, we always like to start off our presentations by talking about etymon. Does anyone know what etymon is? Etymology, exactly. So, will someone read the definition of etymology? Etymon, rather, yes.
Etymon, primitive word,
Yes.
1570s from Greek etymon, neuter of etymon, true, real, actual.
Absolutely, thank you. So when we talk about etymon or etymology, what we're basically saying is at the time that word was created, right, that word started to be used, what exactly was the meaning? And that can only be the true and actual meaning of the word.
I only refer to etymology.
Right, very good. And so this is important as I go through this presentation,
because it's gonna bring some things home for all of us that are in this room. All right? Next slide. So, how many people here use the word nice? Can you tell me the context in which you use it?
You look so nice.
Oh, really? Anybody else use the word nice? How do you use it?
I don't, I know the etymology.
You very good. So you be quiet. Anyone else? Yes.
I thought it was good compliment.
Right. All right. So let's together read the definition, etymology of the word nice. So it's from the late 1300s, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So it means, so when someone says you have a nice day,
Yeah.
right? They're actually saying to you, have a what? Foolish, ignorant, frivolous, senseless, careless, clumsy, weak, poor, needy, simple, stupid, silly, foolish day.
Wow.
Right? That's not all. If you keep going, you know, it says having an ignorant or an unaware day, literally not knowing. And the reason why we bring these things into action is into play is because
The etymology
we always use
of a
these
word.
words, and we're unaware of their meanings. And we all know the words are spells, right? Yes, and words cast spells.
You know what, there's a scripture that says you're taken by your mouth, by the words of your mouth.
Absolutely.
By the word of your mouth. Because you don't know what you're saying.
You don't. And I would suggest that everybody in this room to start to just research the etymology of almost every single word. That
Check
you
out
use.
your words.
Because they don't mean what you think they mean. And here's the thing about it. Those who gave us the words, they know that,
Exactly.
right? They know that.
Exactly.
Believe me, they know. Next slide. How many of you use the word family? I heard it in here a couple of times. Already today, I was paying attention. Yeah, let's read what family means. Can you all see that? Will you read it?
Family purpose.
Service of a household from Latin familia. Family, servant, domestic collectively. The service in the household, also members of the household. The estate property. The household including relatives and servants.
Etymology of the word.
Abstract, not form, for formula. Servant, slave, which is of unknown origin.
So let me ask you a question. Are we family?
No, tribe.
Are we tribe? Interesting. Might get that one too, right? All right, so basically what we need to keep in mind here is that, again, we need to know the etymology of the words that we use. But we also need to recognize that some of the words that are given to us related to us from someone else's perspective and had absolutely nothing at all to do with how we would have addressed ourselves. All right? Next slide. So, when we dump the word family, what we did pick up is what? Lineage, right? And so someone read the definition of lineage.
Lineage, line of descent of ancestors, from old French lineage, descent, extraction, race, 11, see, from lineage,
11th century, yes.
from lineage, that's how I say it.
Yes.
Line, from Latin, line of descent, literally string, line, thread.
So, wouldn't it be more productive for us to use the word, inappropriate to use the word lineage?
No.
No?
Say it.
Wouldn't it be more appropriate for us to use the word lineage when we're referring to each other?
Right.
Yes, absolutely. We're talking about ourselves and our ancestors, right? And we are our ancestors, right? We are our ancestors, yes.
Pedigree.
Pedigree.
Pedigree was a word that I think a lot of people were introduced to when they watched Tyler Perry's movie. Because a lot of people, if you attended a black college, pedigree was a word that might have come up for you. But if you didn't, it depended upon who you were in the company of. So the elitist, the black elitist, was one who used the word pedigree, but pedigree most often is referred to for dogs.
Animals. Yeah, and we might get into a little bit about these prestigious universities we all go to. You know that remind me of the word prestigious? I encourage somebody to look it up while I'm going through this. All right, so next slide. All right, so what we want to do now is, because we really need to grasp this for ourselves so that we stop looking in other places for who we are. All right, so what is the definition of an American? I'll read it. A native of America. Where is America? Where is America? Is Haiti America? Is Haiti America? It absolutely is America. Right? It's on the Western Hemisphere. It is absolutely. Yes. Is Panama America?
Yes.
Absolutely, right? Canada, Mexico, this is all our stuff. All of it.
You know what, they got this big deception that Mexico is somewhere else, but it's really
Absolutely. It's the Americans.
So they're coming to America, wait a minute, they're already in America.
Right. So, and that's another oxymoron that we hear, you know.
Let me ask you something.
Now, we'll say, one moment, okay? Because we'll say here, the United States is America. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Really? Seriously? Like, this is the only part of America. So, it has people in what's called Haiti or Haiti that thinking that they're from somewhere other than America. Guatemalans think it. Canadians think they're from somewhere other than America. They really do think that it's separate. And we need to know that this is all of our land. Okay? So a native of America originally applied to the copper-colored races.
Hey, glory,
Hello?
glory.
Found here in the Americas by the Europeans. And that's from the American Dictionary of the English Language, North Webster, 1828 edition. All right? Then from the 1570s, originally one of the Aboriginal peoples discovered in the Western Hemisphere by the Europeans. Again, from the modern Latin Americanus from America, that's on the etymology online, right? We gotta know that America is here and it's abroad, because if we look outside of where we are right now, and we're thinking that other copper-colored people and on other parts of the Americas are not us, and they actually are us. All right, I'm getting okay. You want to read that, huh? Don't mean what you thought it mean, does it? No, not at all. Next slide. Okay, so when we talk about Aborigine, right? This is very important to know that based on the Latin phrase ab origine, which means from the very first. The source is the Random House College Dictionary of 1978. Next slide. Here is the emblem of America. Oh, my flashcards, I forgot them. I needed them. Okay, I was going to tell you where this actually came from. It's in the British Museum. This emblem of America is actually in the British Museum. Does that look like anyone you know? Right. Looks like us, right? Okay. So if and this is from the 1600s. When is this?
1798.
1798. This picture is from 1790. Yes, we do. Yeah, we really do. We absolutely have a lot of work to do. But today's presentation is going to bring a lot of stuff to the forefront for us. Yes.
I was talking to a guy last night about this, and you know, it's like, our people is really, really, really brainwashed to a point where, wow, what can we do? And I thank God that I'm here today, because this is just a sign that this is where the ancestors is leading you. Come over here where you all are at. Because I've been watching this stuff on YouTube and all that, and then you're right here. So it's like everything is gravitating and coming together. I'm here where I need to be.
All right, so there's a website link up there. I'm not going to encourage y'all to write that whole link down. All you got to do is go to the British Museum and type in Emblem of America, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about that picture. But this is what I need you all to know. They came over here, they drew that picture, they went back and put it in the museum. We were already here. Hello.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They know who we are. We gotta know who we are. We gotta get in touch with who we are. Okay? Next slide, please. So, Aboriginal, and it's a lot of definitions in this slide, and the reason is because we have to know for ourselves that we don't have to seek anywhere else. It's all right here, right? So, Aboriginal, will someone read it?
Aboriginal, 60s. First earliest existing from the beginning.
One moment. First, earliest, existing from what? So how long has the earth been a planet? Millions of years. Interesting, right? It says first, earliest, existing from the beginning. So let me ask you this question. Anybody in here have a great-great-grandmother that says she was a native or an Indian?
My dad.
Anybody in here? Yeah? Okay, so answer me this question. If that be the case, who's the first? Who's the earliest? Who's existing from the beginning?
We know who it's not.
Okay, so why we keep trying to go somewhere else? It's gonna touch you. I'm gonna just keep going. Because if I can make you look somewhere else, guess what? I can keep controlling what belongs to you.
Right.
Right? Do you hear what I'm saying? If I can make you look over there, of which we have pyramids here that's older than over there. Hello? Are y'all hearing me? Are you hearing me? Then guess what happens? You seek to be over there, African American, absolutely Pan-Africanist, absolutely not. Right?
But the land was connected.
No. We're gonna stop that. Wait just a minute. What we're going to do is focus right here, right? Because they put it in their records. See, this is the thing. You can hide the truth in plain sight.
Absolutely.
But if I can teach you to look somewhere else, you won't see it right here in your face. And this is what has happened to us. You two are so handsome. You really are. Okay. All right. Will you please continue?
Especially in reference to inhabitants of lands colonized by the Europeans.
So let me read that sentence. Especially in reference to our people in our land, the Americas, colonized by Europeans. You hear me? All right? All right, will you continue?
For example, America. From Aborigines, see Aborigine, and al, the noun meaning an original inhabitant and
Autochton.
autochton is attested from 1760.
They told you that they know who the Aborigine peoples are because they go over there and they colonize their lands. Right? So, who are the Aborigine people? Next slide, please. So, this word has become extremely dirty to us. By plan, right? By plan. They planned to make this dirty to us, and they went about the process of making us not even want to identify as who we are. Yes? You want to say something?
No, just.
Okay. Okay. So think about this, right? And I know this to be a fact, and I attempted to find my birth certificate for you all this morning, and I just could not. But you know what I'll do? When I do find it, I'm going to email it to you, and I want you to email it to everyone else in here, because this is extremely important. Walter Ashley Pleckert, look him up, right? He was a promoter of eugenics, right? I was birthed, I manifested here in the physical in Virginia, right? Walter Ashley Pleckert was in Virginia. What Walter Ashley Pleckert did was he convinced the government to start identifying Indian or Aborigine peoples as colored. Do you hear me? My birth certificate says that I am colored.
Mine's do too.
In fact, I am an Indian. In fact, I am an Aborigine. Yours says it too? He did it not just in Virginia, that's where it started. He did it all over the United States. Yours says it too? See? So Indian, you're from Virginia. So Indian, everybody in here.
Well, I'll say my old birth certificate, but the one that issued, you don't say color.
But the original says yes. Well, yes, we do. We really do. They say the copper colored people, right? Copper colored. Look at yourself. Are you copper colored? That's all I'm saying. And I'm probably one of the lightest coppers, but I'm copper. All right. So Indian. I want you all to pay attention to this, okay? Because it's very important. The Aborigines of this country are so-called. That's from the 1854, a law dictionary adapted to the Constitution and laws of the United States of America by John Bouvier. If you ever want to know what the Constitution means and what it's saying, go to a Bouvier's. You will not get it from anywhere else. Black's Law will not help you here. If you're talking about Constitution and constitutional laws, you need to be in the Bouvier's. Make sense? Trust me. That it was adapted to the Constitution, meaning they wrote it to explain what's in the Constitution. Okay? And so as it pertains to the Constitution, when it talks about Indians, it is talking about the Aborigines of this country. Who are the Aborigines?
We are.
All right. Are we going somewhere? All right, next slide. All right, so to make it plain for you, because whenever I reference something, I'm going to take you to where it is so you can see it for yourself. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the Constitution for the United States. Anybody know what that says? Well, you're in learn today. All right. So, will someone read that?
I got you. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within the Union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed 3/5 of all persons.
So I'm going to read this again. I'm going to read it slow because we need to dissect some things here. Okay? So this was talking about how taxes were going to be assessed in the United States. Hear what I said. The United States. Who would have been the United States? The 13 colonies, right? Right? Are we a part of the 13 colonies?
Yeah.
Have we ever been a part of the 13 colonies? All right, stay with me. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union. What's the union that they're talking about? The 13 colonies, right? Very good. 13 colonies, United States, same difference. According to their respective numbers, so that means according to the number of people that they have in those colonies, right? Which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons. Because remember, they had slaves too. We forget that. They were slaves. That's what a Slav is, right? You want me to tell it?
Yeah, tell it.
That's what a Slav is. Has nothing to do with us. That was about them. Slav comes from the word Slavic. Hello. That ain't us. If you look up on the computer right now, Slavic,
Yeah.
you will see it's them. Has nothing at all to do with us. Okay? Including those bound to service for a term of years. This is indentured service. Okay? Now, we did have some indentured service, but it's different from a slave. Okay? And excluding what? Indians not taxed. Who are the Indians? The Aboriginal copper-colored people, right? So in that, what you see is that Indians not taxed is a separate group of people. But they sent us to their educational systems and they made us forget that we're not a part of them. But we can get it all back. Trust me when I tell you that. And three-fifths of all persons. And who would 3/5 of all persons be?
Wasn't that the blood?
3/5 human.
See, because you got to know as it pertains to the Constitution that persons means corporation. So they were talking about corporations there.
Oh.
Never even ever talking about people.
Now, weren't the slaves that were brought over, the Africans that were brought over as slaves, the stolen man, weren't they considered part of the corporation?
No.
Yes, it was.
They were considered property.
They were property that belonged to each individual corporation.
They were given that term, 3/5 of the.
That's why they were given that
Yeah.
term, because they were 3/5
Right.
of the corporation's ownership,
That's why it was emancipated.
or commodity.
Instead of being free, and we look at the etymology of the Latin root of emancipation means transfer of property.
Absolutely.
So they said we were emancipated, we weren't free.
Yeah.
So we were from being owned by the slave master to the United States corporate.
Right.
And so I would say to you all, we need to stop saying we when they talk about slaves, because that was us.
Well, enslaved.
Okay, so
We're prisoners
what
of war.
Prisoners of
war.
Yes. For the purpose of this, you're talking about the Aboriginal of the Americas.
Absolutely.
What I'm talking about is that 3/5 of the corporation, which were the
property
Africans,
of-
the property that was stolen from the continent and brought over here as part of ownership of these
Corporations.
And so how many people do you actually think that were brought here?
Oh, millions.
Not as
Well, Haiti-
not as many as they say.
So-
Not as many as they say.
There wasn't that many slave ships that came to America.
So I asked the question so we can do a little bit of an assessment here,
Yeah,
okay?
they got all the ship records and documentation, but a lot of it altered in mind.
Okay, so the route in which they would have taken, right, would have been from the west of Africa over to the Americas. Now, we know from documented history that during those times, those waters were very rocky. They still are now. If you go out a certain way and come in a certain way, it's very rocky. Based upon the ships that they would have sailed in, which would have been wooden ships. Nothing like the ships that we have today, nothing like a cruise ship, right? How would it have been possible for them to bring millions of people over here? We really have to think about that. And let me tell I will tell you that they brought more of us from the Americas, South and Central, to here than they did anywhere else.
I know in Haiti, a lot of it was about, the life expectancy in Haiti was 5 to 7 years, so they had to keep coming back to Africa to get it.
But they keep changing the names.
Because
They
it-
say West Indies.
Right.
They
Yeah,
say more
because it was Taínos who were there before us. It was Taínos who were there before the Africans got there, the Arawakas and all that, and Nakona, all those in Haiti before, and a lot of them got
That was
expelled.
called Espanola.
That's why they started bringing a lot of Africans to Haiti. So that's why like America was kind of different from Haiti.
And I will tell you again, it would have been impossible for them to do that. Due to history, trust, I'm not even standing up here and telling you this, just, if you assess the waters assess the types of ships that they would have brought these slaves in here supposedly on and the conditions of them. Look at how big a cruise ship has to be in order to accommodate the number of people that it has to accommodate. You have to have supplies. You have to have clean water in order to keep these people alive because you cannot drink that salt water. Can you drink salt water?
No.
It was impossible, I assure you. Most of the slaves came from the Americas. And it was, yeah, I guarantee you, yes, Haiti as well.
We know that a lot of us came, because like Makedon, a lot of them came from Benin. And a lot of our women were Dahomey Warrior, which was from Benin. Like Dada Lutman and a lot of them were shipped from Benin.
Haiti's history is more documented, more doctored than any other place, and I will tell you why. Because they kicked their ass. Plain and simple. Y'all will never know the real truth about yourselves unless you go to Europe and live in there. Yeah.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I might be wrong, bro, but I went over to Dominican Republic. I've been researching. You guys came straight from Spain when they did the Inquisition. Your people are Moors, the corporate Moors.
Not probably Dominican Republic.
No, I didn't, Haiti used to be that too.
Yeah, all that was Haiti.
That's what I'm saying. Can't enslave, because we know they weren't no slaves. What is that, Citadel?
Citadel?
Thank you. If you can't read or write, how you gonna build that on the biggest mountain? And that is one of the wonders of the world. That was nothing but the Moors when they sent them out of Spain and brought them along with them. Those white people from Irish. Irish. They expelled them too. And some more people. Cornell, whatever that general was over there. And they sent them over to Haiti. But you gotta go, I mean, they made such a web to me that you gotta just go all the way back and back again.
You absolutely do.
Because they think they have really did a trick on us.
Yeah, one thing we're told was that when they said, be careful with these because those are these are the descendants of those that built the pyramid.
Well,
The pyramid, which pyramid? Because there's pyramids here, and there's more here than there are over there. I'm gonna get back to y'all. I'm gonna get back to y'all. But I'm gonna tell you this. I have been to Benin. I have been to Togo. I have been to Ghana. I've been to Nigeria. I've been to a multitude of countries in Africa. You will not find the likes of you in Benin, Togo, or Ghana. Did you hear what I said? You just won't.
I swear you would. It's statues of Dessalines and Toussaint and Benin.
oh my God.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Yes, elder, sir. We're not Europeans, right?
I'm just asking, you said that the documented history says that it was impossible for Africans to be lodged in America due to the weather condition, ship condition, and everything. Well, how many people, if you got that much information, how many people can you put a number on the people that were here for the past 500 years?
Absolutely.
There you go.
What they have?
Well, I will tell you this, that we went from being the Aborigine peoples to the African Americans. We went from being the Aborigine peoples, the Indians, not taxed, in a very short period of time, to blacks, colored, and whatever else they want to call us. We went from being that. How is it that they say that they killed? We've been here since millennia. For millennials. For millennia. Okay, we've been here for forever. Since time immemorial. Their documentation shows it, and I will show you that to you today. How is it that we then all of a sudden disappeared? We didn't. It's called paper genocide. We've always been here. We are the Aboriginal peoples found here by the Europeans. Haiti was one of the countries that these Europeans went to and found copper-colored people. Already there. Not just them. All right? Those are the words that are most rarely spoken, but yes.
I want to mention the slave trade or whatever route from Africa to America, not only the weather and the water and material, it would have been bad business. Like for instance, if you shipping eggs from one place to another,
Right.
you want to make sure that those eggs are taken care of. The way they show us that they put us in
Yes.
and had us stacked on
Yes.
top of each other.
That was a model.
It's
See,
impossible.
that was impossible.
Yeah. It
So
was
it was bad business and
impossible.
we were inventory. Do you want to do
Yeah,
inventory?
it's
like
painting,
that?
right?
It was a model in there.
Absolutely. A painting. A painting first, then a model.
Yeah, so-
But they
Show me
never
one
did.
slave ship. They can't show you one. They can't. Next slide. So so back to this in the room, right? What we have to recognize is that the Indians referred to in the Constitution are us, the Indians, not tax. And so what I wanted to do was cover what tax meant. Can we look at the verb of the word tax? It's from the 13th century. It says impose a tax on, evaluate, assess, handle, charge. What do they do when they arrest us?
Charge.
They charge us, right?
Right.
They're not supposed to be doing that to us, but they do it because we don't know who we are. To touch, hello. They arrest us. When they arrest us, what do? They touch us, right? Right? To handle. They should be doing none of these things to us, Aboriginal people. And they know that because that's in their documentation. Right? Look at what a tax means. All right? So, next slide. An American Indian. So, if this came from the Encyclopedia of the American Constitution. Did you hear what I said? The Encyclopedia of the American Constitution. This is where this came from. In there you will find American Indians and the Constitution. Please pay attention to what I'm about to say. The phrase Indian not taxed was not a grant of tax exemption, right? Rather, it described a what? It described the status of the Indians, okay? At the time the Constitution was written, Indians were not taxed because they were generally treated as outside that should actually be the colonial body politic, all right? They are not United States citizens, or they were not United States citizens, so we are not United States citizens, right?
Exactly.
Right.
That's why we gotta trying to get civil rights all the time, because that's the game.
Right. And they were not governed by federal and state legislation, so I'm gonna read that to you all in a different way, all right? You said? It should, absolutely. Okay, so the phrase Indian not taxed was not a grant of tax exemption. Rather, it described our status as Indians, right? At the time of the Constitution was written. Indians, or we, were not taxed because generally we were treated as outside the body politic of their colonizers, right? We were not United States citizens, nor should we be now. But we are because we don't know any better. And we were not governed by federal and state legislation. Now I'm going to prove to you how the Indians were not a part of their government in legislation. Next slide. That's because we had our own laws. Has anyone ever heard of the Great Law of Peace?
Yes.
Yes? You have, very good. So the Great Law of Peace was the law which we, the Aborigines, used to govern ourselves. Okay? It is the basis of all law, international and domestic. Now, let me tell you how I know that for a fact. In my efforts to help Nura be released, and this is how I came across all this information. I called Indian law, right? And what Indian law said to me was as long as we identify as anything other than what we are, what our status is per the Constitution, India is not taxed. That internationally we cannot seek assistance. Did you hear what I said?
Can I ask you one question about that? Because this is what been bothering me about that. They have systematically labeled us as this, that, and the other, which they came up with. So I tell people today, I not identify that I'm black, colored, African American, none of that. And I would not put that kind of stuff on any type of form. But how do we go past all of this that they've already set up into what we're talking about, what you're talking about now?
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so the Great Law of Peace is the law Aboriginal people used to self-govern. It was founded by our ancestors. It recognizes the female as the head of the nation, right? When outside this law, you are foreign to our ancestors. So, for example, we became foreign to tribal rule, right? When our parents signed for a birth certificate.
Yeah. Did what?
We became foreign to tribal rule. That means governed by the tribal laws.
Right.
When our parents signed for a birth certificate. Because what happened? They identified us as black, Negro, colored, and we fell underneath their laws. And they knew that. They knew what they were doing when they did that. All right? And then it is separate from the United States Constitution, of which we gave to the Europeans to govern themselves, not us. Because the Constitution is a contract between Congress assembled and who?
Those colonies.
Congress assembles was the colonies. And Indians not taxed. The Constitution is a contract between two bodies of people. We, the Aboriginal peoples, gave them the Constitution.
Okay.
The Iroquois Confederacy gave them the Constitution. They told us that they did it, and I'm gonna let y'all see that. But what we have to know is that Constitution has two parties. Indian is not taxed, which was us. That's how our ancestors chose to identify us. All right? We might not like the word, but it is what it is. And then Congress assembled. So when we have a grievance as Indians or Aboriginal peoples, who are we supposed to go to for remedy?
We go to the tribe. We go to the, well, I say nation, but we go to our elders.
Our nation, as a government, goes to Congress assembled as a government. That is how we establish this government-to-government relationship that we have with them.
But I thought our people were the ones that showed him, because they knew that all of it was a political system. So therefore, our people showed him about, a right of the Constitution.
We did. We showed them everything. And House Congress, write this down. House Congress resolution. I didn't say House Joint. I said House Congress Resolution 331 establishes that we drafted the Constitution. They greatly admired it. Yes, and it was the Iroquois Confederacy that did this. It is in congressional records. All right, next slide. House Congress Resolution 331. Yeah. Will you read that, Article 58 of the Great Law of Peace? Oh, you're recording. So our Great Law of Peace said basically that when we allow ourselves to abide by the laws of a foreign nation and we become foreign to tribal rule, what were you saying?
No, I'm just saying, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but for some reason it just, into my spirit to operate this way. I do not go abide by any laws of anybody, anywhere. I only go by the universal laws that operate through me.
Yes.
That's all I can do. And I think that if anybody tries to attack the laws that operate universally, harmoniously, then that person needs to die.
Absolutely. And that is how our ancestors view things. If you read the Great Law of Peace, that is a powerful document.
Yeah.
I'm telling you honestly, it is.
I really need all
You
of
was gonna say
this.
something?
Comment on what you just said, how do we go about getting around all these things that they have done us? Was that your question?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that was the answer really right there, was that I decided to operate according to the universal harmony laws that operate through me, so I don't care about the law. As long as the laws is in harmony with that, I go with that. When the laws step outside of that and they try to attack me, then I think they should die.
Yeah, let me make a quick comment on what she really actually doing. See, the law really actually governs all things and everything. So when you begin to know yourself, know who you are, then you begin to receive the power and keep them off of you.
Exactly.
That's what you just said.
All right, let me read from the Great Law of Peace.
Okay.
This is Article 58 of the Great Law of Peace.
It says, any chief or other person who submits to laws of a foreign person are alien and forfeit all claims in the Iroquois nation. There are now the 5 nations lead chiefs standing with the joint hands in a circle. This signifies and provides that should any of the chief of the league leave the council and the league, his crown, deer antlers, the emblem of his chiefship title, together with his birthright, shall lodge on the arms of the Union chief whose hands are so joined. He forfeits his title and the crown falls from his brow, but it shall remain in the league. A further meaning of this is that if at any time, any one of the chief of the league choose to submit to the laws of a foreign people, he is no longer in, but out of the league, and persons of this class shall be called, they have alienated themselves, a tonkaton.
That's what a tongue means, that you have alienated yourself from tribal rule. Because you chose to follow the rules of foreign nations, which we all do.
Yeah.
You follow the speed limit, guess what?
Yeah.
You alienate yourself. Yeah, for real.
Why do you say follow the speed limit?
From tribal rule. Because why do we need a speed limit? That's their stuff. That's color of law to be tribal. Think about that. That's color of law. Right?
So questions go with
That's why everybody is white.
Like, say they approach you, and you know, say they approach you, if you don't know what, if you don't know your laws, or even if you do know your, understand where you come from and your laws are, they don't even respect their own laws. So at that point, you get arrested,
No, because what is supposed to happen is, and I want y'all to think about this, because we don't think far enough beyond ourselves, right? What's supposed to happen is, and I can tell y'all unequivocally that it happened with us, all right? One of our tribe members was arrested for not having an inspection sticker on the automobile that he was traveling in. And he refused to give them any information about himself. He told them, I am not your subject, that I am with the Iroquois Confederacy of American Aborigines, and they took him to jail. We wrote a letter, which I will send to you all so you can see it. And we told them, under no uncertain terms is our people subject to their laws and rules. And guess what happened? They released him. But he had a part to play in all that too. Because when he was in there, he knew, don't give them any information. And they could not force him to. Now they did try to assimilate him by taking they had him listed as John Doe, but they did try to assimilate him by taking his fingerprints. And because he had been a truck driver previously, they could identify the straw, right? But when they brought him into their venue, of which they did a mock one and put him before a juvenile justice judge just to get him up out of there, and they told him that the letter that we had written for him was all that he needed when he went back, because that was his total defense, of which they had no jurisdiction over him, that I lost my train of thought. So they told him that because he did not speak words to them, and he didn't, he knew he was not supposed to talk, that they could not keep him or hold him or charge him. And they did eventually. I think he was there for like 3 days, the time that it took us to write that letter. But once it was hand delivered, they created a mock court. And I'm not lying to y'all. The judge was on vacation. So they put him before another judge in another city on a screen to get him out of there, because they knew that he was under tribal rule.
So that shows you like with somebody in trouble with the nation behind them.
Absolutely, because it's what is government to government.
So that's why a lot of black nowadays, like when they get in trouble and get arrested, like they're in there for a long time because there's no nation to protect them.
Absolutely. They don't have a government to government relationship, so they don't have a government backing them.
Right.
He knew his government was going to back him, so he didn't say anything to them. What did you say?
And there is no law, black.
No.
And so that's why.
Because as long as you go under black, Negro, South African, you
Right.
still,
Because they created those misnomers, right? They
as long as
created
you still got their last names, you still up under them.
Last names don't matter.
No.
I'm telling you, that don't matter. It's how you identify yourself that matters.
But your name is your spirit and your shield, and you go on somebody else's name.
No.
Who do you say you are?
You have to see. That's another thing, because we think that all these surnames belong to Europeans, when in fact our ancestors had some of those names as well.
Right.
So we have to be mindful of that and know that it's all about a government to government relationship. And I'm going to show you and throughout this where that is. Go on, next slide. All right, so Indian tribes. So this is according to the 1854 Bouvier's Dictionary, adopted to the Constitution for the United States. What does it say? A separate and distinct community or body of Aboriginal Indian race of men, or we don't know why they put men, found in the United States. So it's found in the Americas. So a separate and distinct body, a separate and distinct community or body of our people found in the Americas. All right? That's what an Indian tribe is. Okay? And only an Indian tribe can have a government-to-government relationship with the United States, per the Constitution. Keep that in mind.
What about the so-called people that say they're from Morocco?
Okay, so I'm going to touch just a little bit on that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you all some information that was given to me directly from the United Nations. as well as from Indian law and those who created the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Okay? And so what they said to me is that if you claim to be a Moor, when you look up the definition of the word Moor, I think we have it on the slide, that is an East African Berber. So a Moor does not have sovereignty here. They would have to have it in Africa because they're saying that they came from Africa. They're saying that they came from somewhere other than here. Now, I'm going to bring this home for y'all because this is difficult for some people to hear. Our ancestors identified us in a certain way. Now, because there are Indian tribes who also say that they are Moors, but they say they're Indian first.
Right.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah.
They say they're Indian first, right? So it's, yes, but that Wachita is what? Indian.
Right.
And the way that they're identified to the United States is American Indian tribe, not a Moorish tribe. So what they said to me was, we always have to abide by the laws of the land in which our ancestors created for us. And those laws say that we are Indians, which means Aboriginal. Do you hear what I'm saying? Because it's very important to know. Because if we put the cart before the horse, guess what? That cart ain't going, that whole package ain't going nowhere.
Let me say.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
that's all good. When you say that, some of what you seem like what you're saying, all that to say, as long as America, United States, remain a powerful government as they are, then we have to identify as original per their constitution. America ain't gonna last forever.
Right.
It's falling.
Wait, America will always last.
I'm saying that.
America will always last.
Yeah, that's what he
Listen,
United States of America.
Corporation.
United States of America, Trump and his cabinet, all the Europeans that make up that corporation is not going to last.
absolutely. But no matter who it is that comes after them, we have already established our identity as Indians, not taxed. That is in all records. Now listen to me. All treaties that are referred to in the Constitution are those that refer to those made with the United States and Indians, not taxed, or Indian tribes.
Right, because you can't tax what you're not governing, right?
And let me ask you, can you be a party to, so you and I make a contract, right? You identify yourself as who you are, and I identify myself as who I am. Hear me what I'm saying. Can she be a party to our contract?
She could be a party.
She's named third party.
We accept her.
We have to accept her, right? Okay, but that never happened. Outside of the contract, which is the Constitution, and the treaties made between Indian tribes and the Congress assembled, there are no other contracts that apply as far as the Constitution is concerned. Do you hear what I'm saying?
They wrote that.
You can't be a third, I didn't,
With big guns, with big cannons. They write the Constitution, what no agreement.
they didn't write the Constitution.
I got a big gun, and this is how it's gonna be.
They didn't write the Constitution, you all. We wrote the Constitution. The Iroquois Confederacy of Nations wrote the Constitution. We gave that to them. I assure you they didn't take it. See, we don't want to own our part. We don't want to own our part, and we got to stop that. Because the only way we're going to get to where we need to be is to own our part and then move forward based upon what our ancestors put in place for us. They did not write the Constitution. They admired us as the drafters of it. They only framed it. Okay, House Congress Resolution 331. Is that the next slide? Well, let it be. Let me have it.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so will someone read this?
That's a lot for me. I need to explain it.
House Congress resolution.
Oh, no, this. Can you read this? So, what I want you to do is as you read this, I want you to own it. Yeah. I want you to own it. So I want you to read this as if you were speaking it about us.
All right.
Right? You want me to read the first paragraph so I can explain how to do that?
Yeah.
Because we need to own this document right here. Is this the one okay, all right, so this is House Congress Resolution 331. It's all there, you all. We gotta see it and then act upon it, all right? In the Senate of the United States, October 5th, Legislative Day, September 26, 1988. Received in reference to the Select Committee of Indian Affairs, October 21st. Legislative Day, October 18th of 1988. This is a concurrent resolution to acknowledge the contribution of the Iroquois Confederacy of Nations. So to acknowledge the contributions of our ancestors, right? To the development of the United States Constitution. Did you hear what I said? I said development. And to reaffirm the continuing government to government relationship between our ancestors and the United States established in the Constitution. Right? Can you read it like I did it? Like, if you could just look that, say that. Right, exactly.
Whereas the original framers of the Constitution, including most notably George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, are known to have greatly admired the concept of the six, which were our ancestors. Whereas the confederation of the original 13 colonies into one republic was influenced by the political system developed by our ancestors, as were many of the democratic principles were incorporated into the Constitution itself. And whereas since the formation of the United States of the Congress has recognized the sovereign states of our ancestors, people through the exercise of power